You got that right now. We're live on Facebook. Shout out to the whole Facebook community. Everybody that's locked on to Power 95 right now. Your morning trend, which is coming to the kind compliments of Rick's Cafe. Don't forget, today, Rick's Cafe is open from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. for takeaway services only. Your last order must be placed by 4:30 p.m. So make sure you do that. Rick's Cafe, walk in, dance out. Right now, I got to say special good morning going out to two people that are with me this morning. Luni Spark, how are you doing this morning, my brother?
Yes, glad to be back.
Glad to be back. I know the last time we spoke, we ended up going into discussion that because of time, we couldn't finish.
Yeah. And I'm happy to be back so we could,
right.
Educate people and share more information,
Yes. Also have to say good morning going out to Lyndale, OaktreeZ, James. Lyndale, how are you doing?
Good morning, my brother. Good morning, Luni. Good morning,
man. Blessings,
the crew in Grenada.
Yeah, I know on Lyndale, there's some people that will be very familiar with your face in Grenada. You know why?
Yes.
And not for anything. Yes, you know why?
Good things. I've been lucky and blessed to be part of a couple of festivals in Grenada, so I almost feel at home there.
Yeah, the Pure Grenada Music Festival, correct?
That is correct. I was there from, if my memory serves me right, 2016 and so 2016 to 2018. Luni, we did some work together that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
All right, now
small world.
I know it's a small world. Right now, how Luni, how it is you're doing since the last time we spoke? How you been managing?
Well, normal, As I always say, this situation, this pandemic, this everything, teaching us a lot, ways to adapt to new conditions. And once we could pass our fees and learn from these fees, I think we could battle anything. We battle, and I think this is a little bit more tough than Ivan because of a lot of situations. It's more worldwide and affecting people in the diaspora, that families and all of that. But we have to cope, and we have to learn from this experience, and not doing just that.
Okay, OaktreeZ. Well, I know he has OaktreeZ, Lyndale, James. It's so hard for you to qualify a government.
OaktreeZ is fine.
OaktreeZ is fine. How have you been managing, especially with there not being any events right now?
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a challenge. Obviously, I'm actually in the UK as we speak. I'm not at home in St. Lucia. I have a bit of a controversial view about the COVID-19 virus. I think at the end of the day, my views of it is that I think we've been lucky to the most extent. Obviously, there are persons who have perished as a result of the virus, and that's unfortunate. But I think it actually gives us a platform for us to sort of reset and make things right. So I've been making a point of being optimistic about it. So I would say that yes, we don't have events, but actually we have the ability and the time to replan our events and make, as we use the catchphrase, creative industries a lot more profitable.
A lot more profitable. All right. Yeah. Let me get to Luni Spark now. By the way, Lyndale, check your WhatsApp. Send your message.
Okay.
Check your WhatsApp. Yeah. Luni, what would you say are some of the challenges that artists have faced before this pandemic? I want to get into the artists right now. Yeah. What are some of the challenges that artists have faced before this pandemic that need to be addressed, in your opinion?
Well, artists always face challenges, and it depends on what direction we're looking at it. If we're speaking from artists getting themselves out there, exposing, getting people to know about us, everything comes with a cost, and we do little that we can to market ourselves. What I need to see is, in terms of knowledge, that's one of the biggest challenges, because a lot of artists come into the business not understanding the business side of it, and they would just run on the hype on the social media and think, yeah, that's a rich way of going. I think platforms need to be put in place. I know people in authority done stuff like workshops and stuff in the past.
Right.
But we need to have more like that so that artists could be educated going forward as to what to expect and what people can expect for, so we can be more professional.
Right.
You know, I don't want to point fingers and blame anybody to see what I, you know, like, you know, people would run them out and say certain things about artists, but sometimes it could be a lack of knowledge and a lack of understanding how to go about being an artist on a professional level. Because most of us don't take it as a business. And we just see that, you know, you see this person doing it, you run into business. And then when you start to get a little backlash, you fall off. You understand? So getting knowledge about the art form is very important. That's one of the challenges I would see for especially upcoming artists.
Right.
My brother and I have been in the business over 18 years now, started very young. And we didn't get the opportunity to, you know, probably get a lot of knowledge. We learned by trial and error, you know.
Right.
So, you know, we had a hard time, and then, you know, learn from that. But I don't want artists coming into the business thinking that it's just a walkover. So knowledge to me is the biggest thing here, for artists to get that first-hand understanding as to how should I go about doing this, not just run into the business and think, well, it's just a little hype, a little glory, and then after I realize, wait, no, I ain't benefiting anything out of that. You understand? So I think knowledge is the first thing. We need to educate the artists and educate not just the artists, but from the MCs to the DJs. When I say that, I'm talking about entertainment here, because you would find, let me just stray from artists for a minute. You would find MCs need a little, you know, knowledge as well. Even when you're introducing an artist, you know, ask the crowd if they're ready to see this artist or this artist, you know, that type of thing. And it does kind of backfire on the artist, because to me, when I about to perform, I need a proper introduction. Even if it means that they give the MC a little information, just tell them, well, you know, you see this, you see that. And it's a situation where you depend on the MC to give it a boost so that the crowd, and you bring that vibe so the crowd could enjoy your performance. So I'm just speaking, yeah, and even whether DJs is concerned, sometimes an artist on a show, like for example, I might be on a show, and then a DJ would come and not even have any knowledge of who on the show. Yeah. You know, he would be blasting all my hits on my about to perform, and then I lose all the vibe, you know, because I sometimes getting that vibe from the crowd, you know. So it's a lot we could really speak about, but as I would say, knowledge is one of the big challenges going forward. We need knowledge as artists to understand the business and how should we go about it, doing it, you know, in a way, you know, we benefit.
OaktreeZ.
Sir.
Yeah, you've been around many artists, obviously being a production manager and so on, right? What would you say are some of the things that you're seeing artists probably because of lack of knowledge they're doing wrong?
I share a lot of what Lumi did. Lumi is saying what he's speaking about in terms of gaining the knowledge and experience. I also have been around enough to know that there are a few things that we need to understand. There's a certain level of filtration from the first world countries as to how we should build our industry, and it may not necessarily work for us in the region. So one of the things I think we really need to consider is building a team. So in other words, I know that there's a lot of mindsets that are set on artists being able to understand the business, understand how to make money, understand how to read contracts, etc. I am one who I'm trying to stay away from that and say that what artists should be doing now is building teams. So artists should have a lawyer on their team. They should have somebody who could actually handle financing and these kind of things, so the artist can actually maximize his skill level. That doesn't mean that he's not supposed to know these elements, but being able to try and action. I've seen a lot of artists who are very, very good at marketing themselves, very good at the business element, very good at speaking. You know, that's one thing artists sometimes lack. They're very good on stage, but put them in an interview and they fall flat.
Right.
So I would say, yes, I believe that artists need to build a knowledge of understanding what business they're in, but don't try and be Superman. You understand? Don't try and do everything yourself.
Don't try and be Prince.
Yeah, exactly. Don't try and be Prince, because Prince have a team. Prince have an entourage, right? And I just think that I think a lot of the query and the fear of artists in terms of building a team is that they're scared of being exploited. From the time you get into business, just accept that you will be exploited. Whether you know it or not, you will get exploited, right? The bottom line is that when the powers that be have leverage on you, they will use you. You will grow in the business and you will then have leverage.
This is, right? Hold on, this is, wait. You talking about artists that are now coming out into the business here. You're talking about the younger ones here.
Absolutely. I think the older artists might have a bit of a block in terms of, being able to grasp these methods. But yeah, the younger artists need to be true to your art form. Don't worry about people robbing you and things. So it go happen. You understand? Don't hurt your head over that. Move forward. Have a bigger goal than that. You understand? Right. But what I think they should be able to accept is that you need to build a team. Have somebody handling your social media, right? Have somebody, handling your contracts. Have somebody handling your bookings, so you can be a yes man. I work with particular artists, so I tell them, at the end of the day, you need to be a good person. So when somebody calls you for a booking, you tell them, you know what? Yeah, no problem. I'd love to be on your show, but here what? Talk to my manager. Understand? So give yourself an out. Give yourself a break. Even if you're the one making a decision, understand? Give yourself that break. So I'm all for building teams of people that can actually bring our industry that much further, that be that much more professional, and I think that's one of the areas that artists need to actually concentrate on coming out of this whole COVID thing. That's what's going to bring us out of where we are. That spinning wheel where we put in a lot of energy, but we're not going anywhere.
Yes.
I think that's going to make the difference.
Luni, I see you shaking your head. You agree with him?
Yeah. I agree. He just keep hitting the nail on the head. I totally agree with the points that he made. And I hope there's artists out there, whether they on the live now or they will come back and review this interview after. That there is certain points that he's done. Sometimes we all try to do everything ourselves. Like my brother and I, we fall victim to that too, because we like to multitask. We like to get it done. And the reason for that sometimes you don't get the people that would be able to execute it, or somebody might come on board and they don't. So somebody say when they can't get it done, you do it yourself. So that's why sometimes this fall victim to that. But I totally agree with the fact that you need a team. And I see of lately, I start working with a team and I see how things start rolling off a little bit more smooth. Because you take all the workload on your backs and you realize no boy, you get overwhelmed. So they said social media. Like I'm the type of person. Every day I go on social media, but I'm not the type of person that will post every day. But there are things as an artist you could keep your fans engaged to do, like certain things you could do. But if you have somebody managing it don't have to be totally in their hands, but you all liaise together and that type of thing. So I totally agree with that. In terms of your bookings as well, it's a different level that comes with it, a different level of respect that comes with when a promoter calls you. In the professional world, a promoter wants to know who's your manager. A promoter want to just book
in the professional world, they want to know your manager. That is correct.
Very correct.
In a professional, I like how you said in a professional world, you want to know your manager.
That's it true. I mean, I go certain places and nobody want to talk to me like to say, well, we want to book you. They want to know who's your manager, who manages you all, because they want to go that direction to get it done properly. These are situations where artists would be booked for 2 events in 2 separate islands, and you ask yourself, well, how that happened? I don't know who yes, black agencies and so on and so forth. But the point I'm making here is having a manager is very important. I mean, personally, we don't have a manager because we learn so much, I think, when management is concerned and artist management, that we're doing it ourselves presently. But as somebody with the right ethics, come and do and into work as a team, you don't mind that, you know. But not just people saying, because there is a lot of managers that say you're managing an artist, but what are you really doing for the artist? Are you just for a promoter to call and book for the artist? You negotiate a price and that's it. So I don't know, you know, you have different levels of management too. You know, people on the
I think it's important to make sure that you have the right manager as well.
Correct.
Because there are some managers that will look out for the artists, and then there are others that will look out for themselves. I mean, that is a fact. I mean, we see that happen all over the world. Now, I want to move on to another point that has been kind of, even before COVID-19, there's been a lot of talk about it. It has happened in almost every Caribbean country that I've lived in. And as you both know, I've lived in a few. What are your thoughts on outside promoters having events during the carnival, right? And being able to do it so that we have a win-win situation here.
Who going first? Me first?
Well, I know you have plenty to say, and I wanted to get to that because I know this is going to probably have the most discussion this morning.
Well, I would say,
go ahead.
Honestly, I don't have a problem with you know, outside promoters coming in and do events. For one, everybody would benefit. I want to say everybody within the entertainment circle, from the artists to DJs to MCs to the sound engineers. We would all benefit once, you know, we get a booking for an extra show. As we know, our carnival is not as big as Trinidad and some of the bigger carnivals where we have hundreds of shows. It's limited that we can even count it off the fingers what shows we are having. The week of carnival in Grenada, it started growing in terms of numbers, the amount of patrons, the amount of people that comes to Grenada. So that means there's an opportunity for more people in effect. You know, we have the locals, and then we have, you want to also give the foreigners, the outsiders, the visitors an experience. Right, like, for example, there's people, when they come to Fed, they come to Fed. They come with 2,000 guests. The plan is to make, like, Fed meeting Fed. So it's like you go to a morning, you come home, you change, you go to a midday, you come home, you change, you go to a night Fed. From there, you go to a boat ride. So you give them opportunities to explore. You give them
options then. You basically you will be giving people options in terms of places to go.
Correct. So, I mean, I have no problem with that. So, you know, I mean, it all goes back to the people in charge following, you know, certain, you know, if because, for example, Soca Monarch is our main night in Grenada.
Yes.
You wouldn't want a big mega event from a private promoter clashing with that. So I could understand, you know, you could block off that day. But other days, I think it's, you know, so okay to have, you know, other events. You know, you have, because as I said, when foreigners come here, they don't have work to go to, you know.
No, the only work they have is party.
And the only work they have is party. So, you know, you explore. You don't want them to wonder what you have today. And they have nothing till tonight, so they have to kind of try to go and find out and go to the beach. You know, have a fete, have a day, a cooler something, a beach something. You know, a boat cruise. I mean, I know we have boat cruise, and we're famous for that. But you know, I've seen Trinidad, you have boat leaving midnight. You know, you have boat for the morning. People headed up to Harbor Master, whatever boat they use to go to a cruise. You know, you reach back 8 o'clock, and you have people that still go to fete and go to work. So they take their nap. I've seen it happen. They take the rest, they go to the fete. When they reach home, they just change and go to work. They got their rest. You know?
OaktreeZ. I know this is something that you've had a lot to say on. How do you think, because this is something I've seen it happen in Barbados, I've seen it happen in St. Vincent, you know, how could one during Carnival have a win-win situation with the outside entities that have recognizable brands? I mean, we can't ignore that. There are some brands that are very big that will want to come and partake and, you know, probably have their following come with them because they have presence in right. I mean,
not probably.
All right, the floor is yours right now. Go ahead, let me hear.
I don't think there's one answer to this. I think it all depends on how mature the market is. In the case of Trinidad and Tobago, you have a large, it's a numbers game. If you have the population for it, the authorities, and I'll put on my event production hat and say if the authorities and your infrastructure can handle 15 fets in a day, and go for it. But if it is that you are risking safety, security, your own brand of event by diluting your event and making your event something which doesn't have that uniqueness of your country, then you need to rethink how you allow promoters in. So my thing is, you need to have structures in place. Right? You need to understand, like Luni said a few minutes ago, that you don't want a promoter to come in and he just want to throw a fet anytime he wants. You may have a staple event that you want it to actually gain its own momentum and have its own fair share of the pie. So you want to protect your market in that way. So you have structures in place. I will look at things like having a sort of a deposit by promoters to make sure that
this is outside promoters here.
Outside promoters. Actually, it might go for any promoter, but at the end of the day, an outside promoter is a little more risky than somebody who's at home. So I would say at the end of the day, you support the growth of your market. You know that when you have an outside promoter come and promote your carnival, they're actually going to get your carnival out there. But does your carnival have that appeal on its own? Do you have the infrastructure for it? You have the hotel rooms and accommodation. You have the services. You have these kind of things. Otherwise, you may have promoters come to your event and the tourists that come to your event only going to their events. You don't want that to happen. You want the tourists to say, if it's in the case of Grenada, they want to go and do the jab mass and all of them, they want to experience a Grenada carnival. So within reason, I think there needs to be some kind of infrastructure that says what type of event that comes in, how what dates the event is going to be held, etc., that there are no clashes, and you don't let it go as a free-for-all. Because at the end of the day, carnival is a cultural product, but it is a product also. You understand? You want it to be an industry contributor, that it actually generates some kind of contribution to GDP, that people make a dollar out of it. Understand? So that is something that I think needs protection. That being said, I still feel that there's a lot that needs to happen. What I see have happened in the Caribbean in terms of the growth of carnival, it's excellent. I don't think that I have a problem per se in any one market in seeing a foreign promoter do an event. I think it's all worked out very well. That being said, it's just been organic. I don't see the structures in place to control. And what I said about the deposit, it's more or less from back in the day when you've heard the situations where promoters come in and they do an event and they dig out and never really deliver on what they're supposed to deliver.
Fire festival.
And the following day they're on a flight and people vex. And you hear the sound man crying that he ain't get paid yet. He only get his deposit and he can't find the man that was calling him every 5 minutes. He called him for 5 days and the man is picking up his phone. These kind of things. You heard the horror stories all along. So we need to understand that we need to learn from these things and put protections in place and structures in place to control that. But apart from that, I'm all for the opening of shores. I think for me, I've benefited from being able to ply my craft throughout the region and outside of the region also.
Yes.
I make sure that I bring something to the table. So I do my research, see where there's a void and try to help grow that market. Inevitably, a lot of times I go through these festivals in the region and I actually train people to do what I do. So effectively eliminating myself from the equation. Luckily, I'm good at what I do, so I stick around, but at the end of the day, that's what I think promoters need to have the mindset of, in that you come into a country and you bring something different. You grow it.
What would you say to the local promoters that are skeptical about having that outside presence? That
easy, up your game. Easy, up your game. That's it.
What do you think, Luni Spark?
Yeah, I mean, we have all of this because at the end of the day, this is a product and your brand. Sometimes we have to get out of the mentality of this one way something. We do our kids events. You know, we started doing kids fun days. I'll use that as an example. And then we brought on the kids who come on our feet. And every year we try to enhance the product. So I'm getting the point where you're saying, if you feel threatened by a competition, all you have to do is step up your game.
Step up your game.
Step up your game. The only other thing with more promoters coming in that, are we ready in terms of the engineers, stage engineers? We have enough of these type of things.
The service providers.
So because we could have, you know, we all know most of the guys that usually you know, in that area. But if we have 10 promoters coming to do an event and they want to do it on certain days, are we gonna get the proper service from these entities? Are we gonna get it at all? Because you know, we just have the carnival.
Or get what you paid for.
DJ, Carnival Monday, yeah, DJ. You understand?
Can I jump in there?
Jump in.
Now, this is where the business aspect comes in, because if you used to work with, say, a Wagiti or a Judah, and you used to tell them, boy, look now, hold a little 500 now, and I will give you the rest when the event finish and I collect my money, and then kind of talk, right? And OaktreeZ come in there, a big boy come in there, and he put down his full $10,000 payment up front. You know what's going to happen to you. Now that's where you have to kind of balance the scale and control these elements, because most of the time, and technically, that's what you want for your product. So if you're on the country level, right, the country wants a promoter that can actually come and contribute finance to the country. If you on a local level and you kind of trying to make yourself grow and thing, then these kind of sharks will just eat you up, you know, and you're left without nothing.
Because
so
that's
where you kind of have to deal with it on a ground level. You can't just put a broad brush stroke and say, well, everybody does it this way. You kind
Let me ask a question before we get this thought that's going through my mind. How could we create, or is it even possible to have a level playing field with bigger brands that are probably bigger than your local brands coming inside for your festival? Is it possible to have a level playing field?
What do you mean by a level playing field?
Level playing field meaning, okay, without calling it, well, one of the bigger entities from outside in the Caribbean, right?
Right.
Say they wanted
Soca
to.
brainwash.
All right, that is as big as it gets, right?
Yeah,
right. I mean, is it possible to even have a level playing field if you have an event of that magnitude coming in, and how do you deal with it?
Well, I think you need to look at the scale of the event, your population. Grenada is what, 110,000 people.
Luni, help me there. I believe.
And you have to do the math. I was looking at it a little earlier.
I guess he looked.
Your age groups range from, if you look at 25 to 54, it's like 40% of your population. And almost half male and female. So the economies of scale will dictate that if a Soca brainwash have to come in and the cost of production is $100,000, let's just say that the most people he could get at any one place in one event venue kind of thing might be 5,000 people. How much he going to charge to cover that cost of production? I think a lot of things are going to even out when it comes to the money, because, and if it is that he can actually invest a certain amount of money, and I'm giving figures just hypothetically here.
Yeah.
If he can actually invest in that kind of way in an event, or him or her, whatever, the team, and it's only 5,000 people, how much money are they going to charge for it? And then if that's the case and they can actually bring it in and make a living out of it, then basically you give them the date that doesn't clash with something that will cannibalize the local event. Simple as that.
Right. You can't go on Looney Spark date.
Yeah. Don't touch Looney. Don't touch. The generators won't start, boy.
Yeah, you can't do that. Big up to Westways. They locked in as well.
Yeah, man.
Just about getting ready to wrap up, but let me ask this question. OaktreeZ, apart from the larger scale and budgets, what are some of the things you have learned with handling overseas events that can be applied to the Caribbean?
Oh wow, that's one I didn't expect. I think
that's me.
I think the same deal that I put towards artists. I think we need to actually look at our suppliers, because a lot of times, and I blame. That's why I actually got into production, because production, in my opinion, always fails. Not fails, but it's always lacking.
Mm-hmm.
It could be doing better, not necessarily because they don't have the equipment, or they don't have, well, most times they don't have the personnel to run exactly what they want. Most times you find it's like a one-man show kind of a vibe. So I would say investing in building the manpower and the skilled labor. And interestingly, I would say that because I'm actually doing a training program for production assistants in the region, all
right.
three countries. Grenada, for instance, will be given 30 scholarships to actually have some production assistants trained. But that's where I think that we fail. I would give you an example. If you go to an event and you see the same set of crew building the stage, building the roof, putting up the speakers, doing lights, and then operating the event itself, chances are these guys are going to be burnt out. You understand? They're not going to be giving you 150% at your actual event. So you want to kind of, make sure that you have that capacity when you have events. And that's why I think a tremendous amount of growth can happen in the region in terms of production. I always critique my area first. I think we have a lot of talent. I think our venues can be, first class in the world. A lot of places can't do events like we do in terms of the locations and stuff. So I think once production steps up, we'll be untouchable. That's what I believe.
Right.
Knowledge, boy. knowledge.
I tell you, for those that didn't know, OaktreeZ was the production. What you call it again, boy? The production.
Production guru.
Right. He was the one that was. Yeah, go ahead. You said.
I did. When for Pure Grenada Music Festival, I worked with Dita and the team to produce the event from day one. That's what I worked with. I was the festival consultant, production manager. For 3 years, it was an excellent festival. It has a lot of potential.
One of the compliments I heard was that it started on time.
I don't play time.
Right. And in wrapping up right after say this, Luni, I was speaking with Alma Boy, right? And I asked him, what are some of the challenges with things that we could do to make Spice Mass better. And for him, the thing that he mentioned, and he was the first artist I heard mention this as a thing, was time. With regards to shows starting on time and artists up reaching on time, performing on time, and so on and so forth. What do you think about that?
Well, all right. It starts. What should I say?
You have about a minute.
All right. The we have to get out of the mentality that's Grenada time. There's nothing called Grenada time. Because you trying to tell me Grenada time is late. So it starts from the promoter, from the engineers, from the artists. And if we start building events that's timely, people start entering on time. I see there are events that took place in Grenada already. All the events, it was timely. People came on time. But the event was an all event. But we have this notion that then start. You understand? So once we into that mentality, we continue with that mentality. We always be late. Even the artist would be late. But if artists learn that, all right, if I miss my time, I can get the rest of my deposit and get paid tonight. Artists will be on time. You understand?
OaktreeZ. Let me ask you, OaktreeZ, how are you able in general to keep these things on time? That's my final question. Well, yeah, second to last question.
The most important thing is communication. From the time I know who the artists are, I start touching base with them. I start touching base with their teams, and they know how to contact me. I pride myself on being contactable, and I share information with them. I let them know how I run a tight ship. I let them know if there are any delays. So I don't waste their time and they don't waste my time. And outside of that, I really don't budge. So if I give you a specific time, I contacted you, I let you know exactly what was going on, and you coming in late, I can't help you. I can't help you.
I remember you told me about a situation that you had in St. Kitts with a pretty well-known artist with time. You were handling not St. Kitts or Dominica, you were handling a festival there?
Dominica, yeah.
Yeah.
The Creole Festival, yeah.
The Creole Festival.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I cut his time, that's it. I cut his time, that's it. So when I communicate with you, you're supposed to perform for 40 minutes. There's no reason for you to not be on time. You have a transportation schedule. You have everything. You have a team. You don't contact me to let me know if there's any challenge. And worse yet, you get to the venue and you want to be,
Superman.
Taking selfies and things like that. No urgency to what you're doing.
Right.
Let you know, hey, the time that you're wasting there is coming off your performance time, and that's it. And if you get on stage and it's 15 minutes, you can cry as much as you want. The minute you start saying things on the mic, the sound engineer is my tool. I start cutting your mic. All of these things around you, the stage lights, I control that.
Right.
You understand? So that's it. And I most times they're upset with me. By the time the event over, by the time the second day, before I leave that country, we're having a conversation and they understand. And, I think at the end of the day, I've earned my respect. And I pretty much have a good relationship with a lot of the artists I've worked with, even those I've cut out.
Right. All right. Well, even those you've cut out.
Even those I've cut out, yeah.
Anyway, I got to wrap it up right now. Thanks, guys, for being here. Any final words, Luni Spark?
I want to urge everybody to continue to be safe. Let me have some hope that, one day the entertainment industry will come back up.
Yes.
Let's all do what we have to do because, that's it. That industry is a very important industry. It's sort of essential too because people need that entertainment. People need that relief of all what's going on to still, be free. But, we understand safety people, so, I want people to continue to be safe. Not the best, All
right, thanks, Luni. OaktreeZ, any final words?
No, I'll just say thank you for having me, Luni. Stay blessed, my brother. I want to wish everybody the best. Stay safe. And I am 150% confident that our industry will grow. We will kick back and we will get much better. Luni, a word for you. Online streaming. Streaming. And us as a platform, as a Caribbean, we have to have our own platform, my brother. We have to control all our elements of revenue. Stay blessed.
All right, thanks very much, guys. Thanks very much. That was Lyndale, James, and also Luni Sparks joining us inside of your morning trend, which came to the Clean Conference of Rick's Cafe today, open from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Takeaway services only. The last order will be taken at 4:30 p.m. Rick's Cafe, walk in, dance out. Wrapping up your morning trend right now. Going to pay some bills, come back, wrap it up. Also have your hit list here. We're going to make all of that happen right here inside of Power 95.